In a time before history had a name, 6.6 million years ago, the world was raw and wild. Among a group of early apes living in the dense jungle and blazing savanna, one young male stood alone, weak, different, rejected. His hands trembled, his movements clumsy, and the others mocked him. He was the outcast, the one left behind. But when disaster struck and flames devoured the forest, it wasn't the strongest who stepped forward. It was him, the forgotten one. What he did next not only saved lives, but changed the path of an entire tribe, and maybe the course of humanity. He was smaller than the others, slower too. In a world where survival meant strength, he had none. The tribe barely acknowledged him, except to push him aside or laugh at his stumbles. While the others climbed trees with ease, he clung to the base, watching, learning, waiting. His name was never spoken, but his eyes carried a quiet fire. He didn't fight for dominance or chase attention. Instead, he watched the stars, listened to the wind, and followed his instincts. No one saw potential in him. To them, he was a burden, but nature had a different role written for him. It began with a strange smell in the air, dry, sharp, unnatural. The leaves trembled without wind, and the birds had fallen silent. Deep in the jungle, a wildfire had started, sparked by a sudden clash of dry branches under the sun's heat. The tribe, sensing danger, scattered in a panic. Chaos followed, screams, stampeding animals, smoke swallowing the sky. In the confusion, the outcast was left behind. While others ran, he turned toward the danger, drawn by the faint cry of a trapped baby ape. It had fallen into a hollow, smoke rising around it. No one noticed. No one cared. But he did. Without thinking, he pushed past the heat, crawled under low branches, and reached into the smoke. Flames cracked nearby. The ground burned beneath his hands, but he didn't stop. He wrapped his arms around the shivering baby and carried it out, limping, coughing, eyes burning, but alive. At the edge of the clearing, he collapsed, the infant still held tightly to his chest. The tribe stared from a distance, silent, unsure. The one they thought useless had done something none of them dared. He hadn't just survived. He had saved someone. The forest had changed. The wildfire left scars across the land, ashes where green once thrived, silence where life once echoed. And in that silence the outcast walked alone, carrying the rescued baby ape on his back. His body was weak, bruised from the fire, but something inside him had awakened. A purpose, a spark. As the tribe moved to a new area near the river, they allowed him to follow, not because they welcomed him, but because they were unsure of what he had become. He had done something none of them would dare. They watched him now, cautiously, curiously. The baby ape stayed close to him, refusing to leave his side. He fed it with fruits, carried it when it grew tired, and kept it warm at night. He began mimicking the elder apes, learning how to dig roots, crack nuts, and even climb low branches. Every mistake was a lesson, every failure a step forward. No one taught him, no one helped. But he watched, practiced, and slowly he changed. The tribe began to notice. One morning, a younger member of the tribe slipped near the riverbank. The outcast was the first to react. He reached down, steady hands this time, and pulled them to safety. It was the first time someone looked at him not with mockery, but respect. He started walking closer to the group, not behind them. He began making sounds, calls and signals that others began to understand. His instincts were sharp. He could sense danger before it came. When a storm approached, he led the group to higher ground. When food grew scarce, he found a patch of untouched trees filled with ripe fruit. And still, the baby ape stayed with him. As it grew, it played with him, climbed his shoulders, and brought him small gifts, leaves, flowers, even smooth stones. It was more than companionship. It was a bond, a brotherhood formed in the fire. The outcast no longer looked like the weak one. His limbs grew stronger. His balance improved. But it wasn't just his body, it was his confidence. He stood taller, moved with purpose. One night, as the tribe gathered near a fallen tree, the alpha let him sit nearby, not beside, not far, but near. It was not a full acceptance, but it was the first crack in the wall between them. He didn't speak. He didn't demand. He only watched the stars as he always did. But now he was not alone in the shadows. His journey from isolation to recognition wasn't sudden. It came through quiet strength, small acts of courage, and an unshakable will to survive and to protect. And though the tribe still called him nothing, in the heart of the baby ape and in the rhythm of the jungle, he had earned a name. The jungle was unusually quiet that morning. The tribe had scattered to forage, leaving the outcast alone by the river with the now-grown baby ape, his only true companion. But danger crept silently through the trees. A large predator, lean and hungry, stalked the shadows. It had smelled weakness. Suddenly, the bushes behind him rustled. A growl, a low, threatening sound, echoed from the thicket. Before he could react, the beast lunged, teeth bared, claws out. The outcast fell back, trying to shield his companion. He screamed, but there was no one to hear it. Then a roar cut through the jungle, powerful, defiant. From the other side of the clearing, the alpha ape charged in, but stopped. Behind him, to everyone's shock, the rest of the tribe had returned, drawn by the sounds of the struggle. But it wasn't them who reached him first. It was the baby ape. Now strong and agile, it leapt at the predator with fearless rage. The outcast's trembling hands became fists. He joined the fight, not as a victim, but as a warrior. Together they drove the beast back. He stood in the center of the tribe, no longer trembling, no longer hiding. His wounds were fresh, his breath heavy, but his eyes burned with strength. The predator was gone. The baby ape, his companion, stood proudly beside him. For the first time, the alpha approached not with mockery, but with respect. The outcast, once laughed at and left behind, had become their protector. The tribe formed a circle around him, not to exclude, but to honor. In the silence of that moment, he was no longer an outsider. He was a leader. The transformation was complete. He had earned his place. The jungle had changed, and so had he. The outcast, once ignored and ridiculed, now walked with quiet strength among his tribe. They no longer looked through him, but toward him. His bond with the once tiny ape had grown into something powerful, unspoken loyalty, forged through fire and struggle. He no longer followed at a distance. He led with purpose. The alpha no longer challenged him. Respect had taken the place of ridicule. At night, as the stars returned to their place in the sky, he sat beside his companion, watching the forest breathe. There was peace now, not just in the tribe, but within him. He had proven that courage was not about power, but heart. And though he had once been forgotten, he became the one they would never forget. His journey reminded them all, sometimes the one left behind is the one destined to lead them forward. Seasons passed, and the jungle thrived once more. The tribe moved through life with a quiet understanding, shaped by the one they once left behind. The outcast, now a symbol of strength and heart, continued to guide them with patience and instinct. The young ape, his lifelong companion, never strayed far, always by his side like a shadow of memory. Their story was whispered among the trees, told by mothers to their young. A story of courage, loyalty, and transformation. For in the heart of the wild, it was not the strongest who led them, it was the one who never gave up.